What's up guys, this is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we're going to be doing a very requested video. One of my more requests that I've ever had. We're going to be talking about the Sig X5 Legion versus my Shadow 2. Before we get into this review, I want to mention my Patreon supporters. The channel only exists because of you guys, and I really appreciate all your support. Because of that, I try to give back by doing a monthly giveaway. This month's giveaway is going to be for an Ontario knife along with some Olights. Also want to mention Amazon and Olight links down there below. That helps the channel a little bit if you decide to purchase through there. And they're all my products I've reviewed previously anyway, so they're all pretty good products. So all you got to do is go down there and check out those links, plus my link to a local homeless shelter in Ames, Iowa that I like to support. So if you want to do some good in the world, go over there and donate. Getting back to the video, which is really up my wheelhouse because the Shadow 2 is one of my all-time favorite pistols. I've shot thousands and thousands of rounds through it, and my personal favorite style of firearm is the 5-inch competition style pistol. Now both of these are going to be kind of steel frame. So this is a steel frame, a standard steel frame, not space aged, on the Shadow 2. And this X5 Legion is going to have the tungsten infused polymer. So it's going to have the same weight as a steel frame. This pistol is around 43 ounces. This one's about 46. However, it's going to have a little bit of polymer flex, and it's not going to be as pricey. Kind of from low ready. Reload's nice, holds the recoil nice. Still got that little rocking recoil impulse I don't really like. It is fucking fast though. The lower portion of this pistol is not a firearm because the Sig X5 Legion is a modular pistol with a chassis system sitting in it. So if you want to, you can go buy one of these lowers on Sig's website for about $300, I think, somewhere in there, if you have the standard version of this. And if you buy this version and decide you want a lighter frame to carry, you can go on there and buy a polymer frame version, or a polymer frame lower, and just put that chassis system in it. Now, it's not super easy, but it is easy enough to swap over if you are knowledgeable with this particular pistol. I've done it with my M17, and it took me not very long, a couple minutes. It jumps a little bit more than my Shadow does.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, both of them are 5-inch pistols. Both of them come with adjustable fiber optic sights, blacked out rear with fiber optic front. Personally, I got to err on the side of the CZ sights a little bit more because they have that tactical notch there that kind of sucks your eye in. And it also comes with a red fiber optic as opposed to a green. However, you can change that relatively easily. Now, the Sig doesn't have an optics mount, or the Sig has an optics mount that you can put the new Romeo sight on, and the CZ does not. However, I do have a slide from Primary Machine that allows me to put an RMR on this, and I'm sure you guys have seen that, so they do exist. However, they don't come like that from the factory, but you can get them milled. All right, so now we're out here at 50 yards, which is what I consider to be kind of the max distance for a pistol range, and we're going to see how accurate we can be. Now, I am shooting reman ammunition, which is not the most accurate thing in the world, and I haven't absolutely zeroed this red dot yet, but we'll see if we can hit some of those plates. Accuracy by volume. This is a double action 9mm pistol with whatever mag capacity suits your fancy. I currently have an 18 round magazine in there, but you can get whatever base plates you want for the CZ series of pistols. They've been around for quite a while. The double action single action is going to work like this if you're not familiar. So the single action, or sorry, let's start with double action because that's where you're going to start with. If you're shooting production, for example, which you can do with this pistol and can't do with that one with that mag well there, you are going to be starting from double action. So you're going to pull the trigger like this, and it's going to have a long double action pull, and then the round is going to fire when the trigger breaks, and then it's going to go right into single action, and you're going to have that incredibly short, incredibly light single action trigger to work with right there. That's somewhere in the area of 2 pounds. Very, very impressive. This is actually from CZ Custom. This is my Accu Shadow. So this is going to have an Accu bushing, but that's really the only difference besides a slightly improved trigger, although I also have a standard Shadow 2, or did, I should say. I just recently traded it, and it's got a very similar trigger, so I wouldn't worry about that. If you're starting with limited, you can start cocked and locked. So you can just run it like this and not have to worry about it at all, and then you're going to have that incredibly short, incredibly smooth single action trigger. And unlike a 1911, you do have second strike capability, and you do have the option to carry this pistol appendix, and that double action is a really good measure of safety. And if you're really serious about safety, you can use the actual safety that comes on the gun. Now the Shadow comes with small safeties and large safeties, and you can install them any way you want. I have the large safety installed on the right side and the small one on the left side. The Sig doesn't come with a safety. It is a striker fired pistol, which means you're going to have the same trigger pull every single time. Now it is a pretty nice trigger as well, however not nearly as nice as the Shadow and probably double the poundage. Before we get too deep in the weeds here, let's get into reliability, which is a thing that we first touch on most of the time, and I have thousands and thousands of rounds through CZ Shadows, especially the Shadow 2. This particular gun sitting in front of you here probably has around 5,000 rounds through it at least, maybe 6. Stopped counting a long, long time ago, and it is extremely reliable. One of the most reliable pistols I've ever fired. No problems whatsoever, and all types of ammunition, including very light competition loads. So this is one of my, if not the most reliable pistol that I own. The Sig has 1,000 rounds through it clean with no reliability problems either. However, if I had to absolutely give an edge to one of these, I would have to give the slight edge to the Shadow just because I have more experience with it, but it seems to me that they're probably even. Now, as far as accuracy goes, I gotta give the edge to the Shadow. And the reason why is going to be the sights are very, very similar, so that's kind of a wash, even though I slightly prefer the CZ sights. But the trigger itself, as we talked about earlier, is just significantly better. Overall, it's lighter, it's crisper, it's smoother, and if you upgrade to a Accu Shadow like this, you're going to get a slightly smoother trigger. This trigger is on par or even better than a lot of 1911 triggers I have, and honestly, the striker fired trigger of the Sig just does not hold up. You can see there a lot of creep in the trigger. Reset is good, but not that good. I just shot pretty fast a second ago, so I'm just gonna try to do some target transitions on these 4 targets here, and we're at about 10 yards. So if you wanna pop over my shoulder here, we'll kind of test and see how fast we can go. Pretty fast.
Yeah.
So the shootability is going to go for the Shadow again. And the reason why is because it's a little bit heavier, but mainly where they put the weight. So they did add weight to the X5, which does help with the recoil. However, the CZ is really a gun that's just designed to be shot incredibly fast. You see this gigantic dust cover here at the bottom, and they even added weight by not cutting out Picatinny slots. So this gun is a little forward heavy, very, very light slide, very low reciprocating mass, pretty low bore axis overall. Not super low, but low enough. Very low slide weight and very heavy frame weight with really, really good ergonomics. You can see how high you can get into the pistol, and you can also ride that safety for an extra lever down to hold the pistol in place. This has one of the lowest recoil impulses of any gun I've ever fired. You're going to get that a lot because these are exceptional pistols compared to exceptional pistols, so the shootability, reliability is going to be pretty exceptional.
Got it.
Okay.
Yep.
Regardless, the recoil impulse is extremely low on the Shadow 2, barely there. And by comparison, the Sig just has a little bit higher bore axis, a little bit less weight up here, a little bit more weight up here, so you get this rocking motion that is very common with Sigs. And a lot of people will fire around, wait for it to cycle all the way back, kind of dip down, dip back up, and fire again. So you're just going to get a little more motion with the Sig, or it's going to just be a little bit harder to hold in place. You absolutely can hold this in place, and with technique and shooting skills, you could shoot this faster than this, no problem. Well, you could shoot this faster than a guy with less skills could shoot this, I could say. But even skills, the same shooter shooting both guns, you're just going to shoot this a little bit faster because of the lower recoil and the slightly faster resetting trigger. It goes fast.
Certainly does.
The Sig is a little bit lighter, which reduces or increases the recoil impulse slightly. However, it is a little bit easier to maneuver out of the holster, transition targets. That's where the less weight is going to come in handy. That 43 ounces really is the sweet spot, and I do prefer that weight a little bit over the CZ for just everyday handling and sitting in the holster for a long period of time. The Sig also is going to be a little bit simpler for newer shooters to use, absolutely. A lot of people can wrap their head around the striker-fired action a lot faster than they can double single, especially if you're trying to use it for production, for example, like if you took the mag wall off. This is going to be a lot easier to use than starting double action and then moving to the single action every shot. That just takes a lot of learning curve that a lot of people are not going to have to deal with. Completely understand that. The grip module and the modular chassis system is an upgrade in my opinion. However, the downside to that is the fact that there are not any other sizes of modular chassis system offered for the Tungsten. So if you don't like the grip size, which I happen not to, it's just a little bit small for me in comparison to the CZ. There's nothing to upgrade and there's no back straps to put on. So for me personally, that's a big con. Also, the texture on the Sig is not near as good as grips that you can buy, because the CZ actually has removable grips here, so you can buy any type of grip you want, wide, thin, black, green, whatever you want to. You can customize your CZ to the texture and the color and the size that you see fit. So in my opinion, even though this is a modular system, this is actually more customizable. And even though this is from flipping 1975 and this came out this year, somehow this still has an advantage. Also, this is going to have the 25 lines per inch checkering that is really the preferred grip for any pistol out there. If you can do it, if it's a steel frame, that's what you should do. And the CZ Shadow 2 ergonomics, in my opinion, are just as good as the Sig, which is, like I said, kind of surprising considering. Now, if you don't like safeties, totally understand that, go for the Sig. If you don't like the double action trigger, totally understand that, go for the Sig. The Sig is going to be a simpler pistol overall for you to get together and know, especially when it comes to takedown. If you're going to completely disassemble these pistols, it's going to be a little bit easier to do the Sig. The old double action style pistol can be a bit complicated if you want to remove all the trigger parts and things like that. I do consistently remove a lot of my parts in the upper portion of the CZ to change to my other slide. and that isn't as complicated. It's very similar to the Sig. However, the lower portion of double action pistols can be a bit complicated. Now it's going to come to price. Which one of these are you going to be able to comfortably afford is really up to you. I've seen these for sale brand new in big box stores for around $900. I've seen them online for around $800. That's extremely good. Considering that this lost in a lot of the categories, but not by very much, and considering this is an Accu shadow, so this is going to be double that, but the standard shadows you can find for around $1,100 to $1,300, still going to be $200 to $300 more than this pistol. If you can't afford that, the Sig with training is just as fine. I mean, it really works well. However, it's going to have a little bit of nitpicks that just pushes me to the CZ a little bit more. This is going to be a little bit more accurate. It's going to be a bit more low recoil. It's going to be a little bit faster overall, which is why I think still to this day, the CZ Shadow is the king of production division and one of the most popular pistols on the market as far as competition pistols go. But again, if you don't like that double action and you just shoot Glocks and stuff like that, and you don't like the safety, the Sig is still a great choice. And for $900, this would be an awesome way to get into some serious shooting. And if you're going to get into USPSA, IDPA, stuff like that, just take whatever gun you have and go have fun. You don't need to show up. A lot of people think they have to show up and just compete right away. Like you're going to show up to your first basketball game and compete with LeBron. Just go out there and have fun, and that way you can have a better opinion on whether you want to do it instead of waiting for your first match and saving up $1,000 to buy this Sig. Just go out there and have fun. But if you like Sigs and you run a P320 and you're getting serious about USPSA, this would be a phenomenal choice. Compare this to, let's say, a Glock 34, for example, like a stock Glock 34 that's running around $600. I would probably take the Sig over that just because it's got a better trigger, it looks cooler, it's a little bit heavier, and it comes with a mag well and stuff like that. However, if you're going to make me choose between the Sig and the Shadow 2, I gotta go with the Shadow 2. The Shadow 2 is only a couple $100 more accurate, just as reliable, if not more reliable, customizable, better trigger. What can I say? It's the clear winner. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help Oklahoma shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.